Greetings, it is I, Susie Q. How are you? What's showing up in your field, letting you up, turning you on, and illuminating the goodness and the fun and the pleasure and the joy of this beautiful earthly school. Oh my gosh. Woo! All right, so we're going to continue with the series, A Life Review with No Physical Ascension, and we're up to part 6 today. It's so fun when we look at kind of the stories of our life or the lessons of our life and maybe some of our divine purpose in this life. It's just so amazing how we can kind of start adapting in new ways that make more sense and more sense of joy and pleasure and fun and happiness, right? So even when we got all this stuff that's going around, maybe like things are moving so quickly, and then here we are just like going, wait a minute, people, wait a minute, It's like but we have opportunities to kind of take a look at and examine some of the experiences in your own life. So today we're going to be working with that part 6, which will be a little bit about some of the ways that people feel when they're moving through or expanding in their consciousness. So we're still back on the year 2015, and it's a humdinger. It's a humdinger for sure. So when we look at the energies of 2015, we really start, I don't know, just kind of looking at, like, let's just say it was on a Tuesday and now it's a Friday, right? Maybe the experience of the Tuesday was so big and bold and wonderful or yucky or whatever, but by, a few days after that, everything's kind of faded from that relationship with what was occurring on that Tuesday. And so even when we look back into the future or back into the, I'm sorry, back in the past, and we might also be projecting some potentiality in the future. So what's interesting is I think for my own juicy self is that when we're really working with our beautiful consciousness, right, and developing and growing into a more expanded sense of self, is that we find that we're really just present moment beings. Okay. And so sometimes we look back at some of the old things and we're like, I could have done better, or oh, I made a mistake, or they did, or whatever. So for today with this part 6, these are some symptoms or some things that might show up for you when you're growing, expanding, and illuminating at a higher frequency than you normally do. So even as the energy's coming in, they're like blasting in, boom, boom, boom. And then here we are, in our beautiful divinity, our little bodysuit, right? Is that we start feeling so many different things when the energies are very, very profound. So, all right, so back in 2015, somewhere in that year, I don't know, it seemed like it was 500 years. 500 years in 2015, right? So one of the first things we're going to have, I think, 3 bullets here. So one of them is going to be about the feeling of being ungrounded. And so ungrounded might mean or might relate to you. Maybe you're just not 100% concentrated on what you're doing. Maybe you can't find your words. Obviously, I do that a lot on the videos. I don't edit anything. This is completely raw. But when we start looking at things and we start feeling like I'm not in my best today. I'm not sick or anything, but I just have kind of some low energy, or some other things are showing up. And so that feeling of ungroundedness is showing up for a lot of people. And I think it's always like that. It's not like it's a special time right now, right? But when we start looking at that. So, and I've given some examples. This is some of the work of Joshua Kruger. He's Cairo out of Las Vegas. But let's just say you've got some unsettled feelings, or you're not 100% to win it with what you're trying to do, or what you're wanting to be doing. And so what we might do is just do some taps to the crown of the head, and we're going to do 49 taps, and you can do it with me, even if you're like feeling good and groovy. Or I was kind of feeling kind of sleepy just a little bit ago, but now I feel a bit more energized, right? So we're going to do 49 taps to the crown of the head and see if we can kind of awaken a part of us that may feel a little bit more grounded with the body, grounded with the spirit, grounded with our beautiful breath of life. So we're going to start now with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So sometimes when I'm taking a walk and I'm like going, God, I just feel kind of spacey, right? So my spacesuit's kind of got some holes in it. I just start tapping, I tap on the crown if I'm feeling a little bit ungrounded or kind of fuzzy thoughts or something. And then I also do also tapping. Let's just say I've got a situation on this side of the neck, then I'd go to this side and I'd start tapping that and kind of balancing and harmonizing that area. I don't have anything right now, but that's what I would do. So if it's over here, then we'd go to the opposite side, and that would be where that work will be. So tapping, I think, is I don't have a special technique that I do. I just know that if it's on one side, that I might want to interact with the other side, the flip side of that point in the body. Okay. All right. So that might be some things to do. And with the ungrounding, the feeling of being ungrounded is it's really good to be out in nature. When you're out in nature, it's kind of like, you may have all these thoughts when you're, I'm still in my office space right now, but when we start, kind of being in nature and kind of observing, I mean, people are walking by, there's dogs and cats and the birds and all these things that grounding or that earthing energy is so powerful. If you can even take off your shoes, it's kind of hot here, and I don't have grass where I'm at, I'm kind of in the desert. But if you are able to go barefoot and able to just have your feet on the ground or the grass or the dirt. It's like dirt, right? It's kind of like desert dirt here. Anyway, but those might be some nice things to do. If you're in an area which is pretty heavily wooded, you might want to lean against a tree and just let that central nervous system receive the messages to assist you if you're feeling a little bit ungrounded or having some different ways of looking at things. You start kind of leaning into that trunk of the tree and just let it be absorbed through the central nervous system from the neck and from the thoracic and then into the lumbar. Just let it be and just see if that kind of might bring some energy. And a lot of times when I go out, I go to the Papago Buttes, and I love to. If there's some big smooth rock there, I might go on that rock and just lay on that, because I really want my central nervous system, my spine, to have an activation with the earth energy. And so these are really some neat things that I love to do, And even when I was back in Texas, there were tons of trees, and I would hug a tree, I would lean against a tree, or even just sit on the grass. I mean, all these things are so fun, and it's free, it's natural, and it just kind of, I think it's almost like there's all this beautiful energy from right below where we are, right below from our feet, as we start getting all this energy that starts pouring into the body when we're in that sense of nature. But going barefoot is super fun. Okay. And also there were some other things back in 2015. So those are some things that I did back then, and I'm still doing that now. But there were some other things that were happening in 2015 with this idea of a life review with no physical ascension, is that we're looking at things that maybe had happened, or maybe you're projecting things into the future. But when we start kind of having a different way of experiencing life, maybe it was something in the past or it's moving into the present, is that we can really kind of like see things in a different way, in more of a kind and loving and spiritual way, especially with that peace with nature. So there was one other thing. This is my third little bullet on this one, is that back in 2015, early 2015, I became highly electrical, and I'm pretty sure I've already talked about this many times, but that sense of, not being able to work with batteries, and I was a real estate broker back then, and I keep thinking about it because it was like a hot mess. It was like 6 months. I was not able to open up my own devices to go into a house. Maybe it was my client's house, or maybe I was with a buyer. Maybe I was a buyer's agent at that point. So it was really confusing, and it took me a while to kind of wake up, to like, what the heck is going on here? What the heck is going on, right? And so what I'd like to share is that when you're having experiences, or you're even like considering things from the past or moving into that precognitive piece, is we can kind of start kind of creating more of a gentling and a softening of the spirit. And so, for example, for me to get into a lockbox back then, I had 3 devices. Okay, I had 3 devices, and they had batteries. 2 of them had batteries, and the other one was just my cell phone. So I would be there, and I would not be able to open up any devices with those, to get into a house. And then eventually I came to this conclusion is that I think I don't, because I would give it to somebody else and they could open it, right? We kind of step away. It's like, okay, you do it. And then they were able to do it, but I wasn't able to do that. So sometimes we find ourselves in a way where we're just kind of like, having a different experience with life, or a different experience with the energy, or different experience with who we are now based on who we were yesterday. Every day and every moment and every inhalation is another reminder that we're here and that we're continually growing and expanding, and it feels really nice. But there was a part of me, maybe a part of you, when you feel like you keep doing the same thing and it doesn't work, and you keep doing the same thing and it doesn't work, and then keeps, doing it and then it doesn't work, and then you finally go, I think I need to do something different. I knew it wasn't the devices, that were being a stinker, right? It was me. It was me. It was me all along. It took me like 6 months to work it out. But I did find that when I was not grounded with my own beautiful divinity, my body, is that I was having all kinds of different malfunctions. I don't know. I wasn't able to work with batteries. So then I eventually thought, well, I think it's really about me. I think it's about me. It's not about them or that or the energy or the sky or whatever, green or purple. I just realized that there's a part of me that is here and a part of me that's not here. When do you feel that? When you feel that moment where you realize I'm not really in it to win it, and I'm not really in my body, and I'm not really acknowledging my body. And that's when the things started showing up. And maybe that shows up for you too. You're like, am I in my body? Am I taking care of my body? Or am I just kind of denying and just letting it know that it's kind of an automatic, my body's an automatic machine or thing or being, right? So then I just started working with Gaia, the planet, this beautiful planet. And with that energy, working with Gaia, that was the best thing, because really my crown was pretty wide open. Now we put a lid on it, right? Is that I just started to work with my lumbar, working at that root chakra. So I got my hand on it right now. So I would send the energy down from my root chakra and I would take it down the legs and then to the bottom of the feet. And then I would send the bottom of the feet into the inner earth, and sending that energy, that beautiful energy from the root chakra, my root chakra, right? My divinity, my root chakra, was sending slowly down, just like little roots, into the high heart of Gaia. And I don't even know why I chose to do that, but I thought there's a part of me that's here and then not here. And so I needed to be more here, right? And so for some people that may be feeling a little bit, in a different way, that you might kind of work with that too. Have a grounding practice, sending the presence of your divinity, sending it to the high heart of Gaia, because that's our mother, right? It's like that loving presence, right? That gives us, it's fertility and nurtures us and gives us the goodness, the rain and the sun and the all these different things, right? Is that we want to really acknowledge that. And so that was really a big win for me when I realized that I'm more tethered now, more tethered to this place. And with that, I'm able to use all of my resources within my body system and in my auric field. So I think that's it for today. This has been super fun. I've had a great day already, and there's more to come. And just now, my ear is toning pretty loud, so we must get it. We must have some helpers here. Anyway, so whatever you're working with any kind of different symptoms or signs that are giving you a little bit of confusion, look into some of this, some tapping possibly at the crown of the head, 49 taps. You might look at the highly electrical and do kind of a root chakra, sending your presence to the inner earth of the heart of Gaia, and then be out in nature. It's a beautiful place. This is a beautiful planet. So have a most beautiful day, and namaste.